Aloha, welcome to Invited Back. I'm Sabbath Kapahu. We are wrapping up our deep dive mini series based on the sessions at Stimulate Summit. I'm so thankful for all of you guys who have taken the time to join us in this space for these conversations. And if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to all of the sessions, I'd encourage you to do so back through the podcasts or through the YouTube videos. This really is a space to be encouraged, gain confidence, and build stamina in our marriages for the long haul, because we know it takes work. It takes commitment, solidarity, communication, and all of the day-to-day choices. Speaking of choices, today's topic comes with a trigger warning and an audience suggestion. So if you are scrolling through YouTube with little kids in the room, hey family, continue scrolling and come back when you can have more of an adult conversation type of engagement. Similarly, if you're listening to this on the podcast, put in your earbuds or come back when there is good present company. It's going to be a little difficult to recap the session that I'm going to talk about today. It's called Addressing Sexual Addiction. I had a chance to interview licensed counselor Linda Shevkenek. She has become a dear friend and has been practicing in a counseling setting as a licensed counselor for decades. And more recently, I would say, and she would say, in the last 10 years, has begun to focus on helping couples walk through addressing sexual addiction. And there are a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this topic. And she did such an amazing job of walking us through where some of this may begin. Every situation is different, and there are a lot of women who will seek counseling help for this issue, whether it's their own or their spouses or someone in their community. But there are a lot more women who will not ever seek a counselor about addressing sexual addiction. And that was the heart behind having a space at Stimulate Summit to at least begin the conversation, a brave conversation about what it looks like to address that. As I mentioned, there is only a minimal amount that I can talk about here in this space. If you want to have access to this specific session at Stimulate Summit, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can DM me on any social media platform, Sabbath Kapahu, or Invited Back, and we can talk about how to get you access to this session. She's talked about things like the arousal template, and how at a certain point in almost everybody's life, there is a stamp, so to speak, that gets imprinted the first time we feel aroused. And that affects us for the rest of our life. And in some cases, it is a damaging imprint. And we might not even know it. And it might cause us to find ourselves in the midst of sexual addiction, and we don't know where it came from, but we just know it's there. And so she talked about how when she has an opportunity to sit down with a couple and talk to them about this, there can be real freedom. That it's not just there's not something wrong with me that I did. There is this thing that happened, and it's neurological. And the good news about that is that neural pathways can be reshaped, and new neural pathways can form, and healing can happen. And that was the biggest takeaway from the conversation and the interview with Linda, was that there is hope. It doesn't mean that the journey is easy. There is a broken bridge of trust that needs to be rebuilt, and it takes time and a lot of effort. And she walked us through what beginning some conversations with a counselor might look like, or for those women that I mentioned that will never see a counselor, what are some of the things that you can begin to think about and talk about amongst your closest girlfriends, the people that you trust, and then how to bring up the conversation within your marriage. She talked about some of the statistics, and she also talked about the realities of what she calls and what is called the dogs of addiction. There are a lot of ways that we become addicted to things. Sexual addiction is just one of them. And all of these things affect our marriages. So again, if you would like to have access to this specific session called Addressing Sexual Addiction in Stimulate Summit, please reach out to me. The heart behind this space is to begin the conversations, to have the brave conversations that you might have been wanting to have but didn't know where to start. The reminder that you are not alone, and the biggest reminder that there is hope, no matter what has happened in the past. So please reach out. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go into real detail about what she talked about in the Session Summit. This just isn't the space for it, but I would love to give you access to that and then invite you into our community so that we can have these conversations together. In the next episode, we'll go over some of the resources that were in the worksheet based on this that Linda gave us, and places that you can find where these conversations are happening and how to get help and find hope in the midst of addressing sexual addiction. So please reach out and let's continue these vital conversations together. Until next time, aloha.